Hello and welcome. My name is Arlana, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a very interesting topic of how to create calm, trust, and deeper connection with your animal companion. And I'm going to be presenting to you maybe a different way of looking at your relationship with your animal companion. If you're here today, you probably have been experiencing some issues with trust, maybe behavior problems. Maybe you have a rescue that you're just not sure how to help them transition into calm and feel safe in your home. And all of these things can be a challenge. And you should know that you're not the only one who goes through these experiences. Many of us have been there. And what you're going to learn today is that both people and animals, not only do we experience trauma and stress in a different way, but we also need a different way of working through it. Today, we're going to talk about how to create a calm home, to build mutual trust and a relationship that fits both of you. Calm is a biological state. It's something that our nervous system allows us to experience when we or our animal companion is in a state of anxiety, stress, maybe even trauma. We are dealing with, we go into this state of survival, fight or flight. And in that state, the information that we're taking in, the feeling of calm, the what we really want from the relationship, it just doesn't land. If we're trying to train our pet while they're anxious or upset, you may notice or think that they're not even listening to you. And in reality, they're probably not. But it's not because that's what they want to happen between you. It's because they are in survival mode. And it's much more natural state of being to them than you may realize. Yes, we go into that mode too. But for them, it is really still innately ingrained in them to be part of their survival, is to be aware. And so their state of mind, their attention is just not on you at the time. But when we can teach them calm and show them that we are there and create that level of trust, then that's where deep connection and learning really can come in. One of the things that is really important is to understand that we can access calm and understanding through presence. You may not think of it that much when you think about how you use presence to connect with another person. But what about when you're in the presence of someone who is not respecting your needs, who is not really being present with you? You understand what that feels like, the frustration, the way you're not really connected. And I bet you also understand the feeling of when someone is truly being supportive and truly with you in support, truly listening to what is going on with you. We're also supported by chemistry to co-regulate with others and with the animal companions in our lives. Now, dogs, we've used them as co-regulators for decades. You all the emotional support dogs, and it's become a standard thing that if people are having, stress and they're dealing with stuff that's too much for them, that dogs can help us to co-regulate. Now, what's important is this is a very strict screening process, right? There are dogs that are very good at this, and then there are dogs that are not as good at that. And why might that be? Well, dogs that are naturally calm, are able to deal with these kinds of stresses are, a rare breed. There are dogs out there that have been through trauma, that are living in chronic stress, that, don't know how to trust or have never, ever really felt a state of calm. Those dogs would have trouble being an emotional support dog because they don't understand how to be in that place. Some dogs, some people have never even really experienced what it's like to experience calm. A lot of rescues. You don't even know what they've been through before. So it's really hard to understand how they might need to experience calm and how long it will take them to get there. And without calm, you're not going to move into a state of trust. And without trust, then learning is much more difficult. But the good news is that calm can be learned. It can be led by example. It can be learned through our emotional state, and it becomes amplified through relationship. And that's where the depth of this conversation is really going to begin. So before we go too much farther, I'll just let you know a little bit about who I am. My name is Arlana, and I have worked with animals all my life. I've been training animals since I was a pre-teenager and working with dogs and horses and cats and birds. They've always been my safe place. They've always been just this energy where I felt safe and where I always knew I could go when I needed that kind of reassurance and probably co-regulation. I've also been studying holistic wellness for well over 30 years. And I came to a place in my life where I was able to put the two together. And it's come to be a wondrous way of discovery and of connection that I love sharing with other people. I learned through all this experience and training that stress and anxiety actually live beneath behavior. One of the important things to understand is that trying to change behavior is not the answer because you have to always make change at the source. And behavior is just a alarm going off, alerting you that there's problems. So think about it this way. If your smoke detector went off in the house and it was so annoying, so you finally call the fire department and you say, I can't sleep at night. This fire alarm is driving me crazy. And they come out and they go, oh, well, I think we can fix that. And they climb up on their ladder and they cut the wires. Well, great. Now you don't have the fire alarm, the smoke alarm going off, but you also have not solved the problem. You just take it trying to change what it was that was irritating. And that's not going to make the kind of lasting permanent change that you want. So everything I'm going to share with you today comes from my training experience, lived experience, things that I've actually gone through myself. And now I want to share with you. And what I've learned over the years is that these challenges, most challenges do not come from bad behavior. It actually comes from something else, expectation. Expectation is a powerful distraction. Expectation leads to stress. It changes our capacity for understanding. We expect behavior, understanding, everything to happen the way we want it to. And when it doesn't happen, then we get stressed out and our pets get stressed out. And it just snowballs and becomes more and more stress on both sides for your animal companion and for yourself. If you think about what expectations you have for your relationship with your animal companion, where do you see that you are maybe expecting something to happen when what has been explained or shown to them is maybe not even that clear. Whenever expectation leads, stress is sure to follow. I'd like to share a story about a little dog named Lacey and share with you how this happened and how I understood it at a much deeper level between me and an animal companion. Lacey was my brother's dog, and there came a point where he got very sick. Now, I had worked with Lacey, spent time with Lacey all of her life, but she had never lived with me before. And when my brother got ill, it got to the point where he asked me if I would take her to stay with me. I, of course, said yes, I would love to do that for him. When she came to live with me, she was grieving and in so much trauma that she would often hide under the bed, trembling and shaking and whining. Her breathing was not steady. And I was I was so afraid for her. She wouldn't come out unless I coaxed her out, even just to eat and go out to the bathroom. Now, the challenge here was that we were both upset. We were both grieving, and we were both going through it in our own way. But what I thought she needed was she needed healing and comforting the way I would expect to have, to be supported through this situation. And some of the things I offered her, well, they seemed to increase her trauma and her fear rather than help her feel calm. And so I had to take a real step back and I had to say, okay, we're both grieving, we're both upset, but we are expressing it differently and we need to be supported differently. So calm wasn't working from my point of view, but what soothed me was seeming to overwhelm her. So I had to give her space. I had to reset my expectations, and I had to honor her process of grieving. And when I did that, she started to calm. She started to uh, relax with me. Safety was born between us, and trust was formed. And I have to say, this was a truly soul-aligned union because on my own, I don't know how I would have dealt with all this situation that we went through. And I know that being with me was where she needed to be in order to get through this. So my takeaway from this was she didn't need me to change her. She needed me to respond in a way that resonated with the way she needed to deal with the situation, to allow her to grieve and to allow her to find the calm in her partnership with me. And my realization with this was sometimes we have to take a step back in partnership and understand that being supportive is more important than to control. Also, I realized it from my own point of view in when I'm grieving, when I'm upset, I would just love a hug. But I soon realized after many times of not understanding why somebody else wouldn't accept it, that just because I feel better after I have a hug doesn't mean that's someone else's way of connecting and releasing. Sometimes it's too much for them to accept it from me. And I know was hard for me to understand. But when I look at it from their point of view, I understand it so much better. Sometimes offering things that feel right to us will actually overwhelm another. And sometimes needs that are misunderstood only make the behavior louder. The behavior gets stronger. So when we think we're doing the right thing, we actually see a change in behavior that is worse than what we had before. So what I discovered is calm can't be imposed upon someone, but it can be supported. When I started looking at things through the elemental lens, I realized that relationships are or can be supported in a way where we can create an actual blueprint of what best fits you and what best fits your animal companion. We need to meet others where they are. And a relationship blueprint is something that is true and strong and clear, gives you a clear vision of where we both stand. And that also helps to create calm, safety, and trust. So when we are in alignment with one another, we can find where we connect and where there's conflict. We can look at the situation from where the connection really is so that we can allow for boundaries. We can allow for any challenges that come up. We can be prepared for that. So from expectation, we move into a state of understanding. From calm, we move into alignment. And from there, trust is able to grow. And from trust and alignment and calm is where the real magic happens. But what's important to also understand is calm isn't just a destination. It is a portal. It allows you to access many different levels of relationship. It helps you to understand yourself at a deeper level. And learning about the five elements really is that guided path to deeper alignment between you and your animal companion. It helps us to understand ourselves better, and it helps us to understand our animal companion better in a deeper way than just guessing at what's going on. We can actually create the blueprint of understanding to help us understand where we connect and where there may be challenges. It can help us understand how to navigate those challenges and to live our lives in better harmony and in alignment with one another, because that deeper understanding shines a light on where we may not be connecting, and it tells us why. So we're not just cutting the alarm wire, we're actually discovering what's really going on and how we can find a plan of how to work together. So what I want to offer to you today is the opportunity to understand that and to make that deeper connection with your animal companion. What I've created is a free gift. It's the Calm Companion Connection Masterclass. And I've created a guided video and a workbook for you as well to help you integrate all of that we've talked about today. And so you can explore a little bit more about a deeper look at yourself and at your animal companion and discover that deeper connection at your own pace. I also want to offer to you to reach out to me for a one-on-one elemental wisdom and behavior discovery call so we can discover what we want to do with this information for you. If you want to work one-on-one, if you want to take a self-study course, there's lots of different ways to learn how to create and to develop this deeper understanding and more aligned relationship. I also want to make you aware that I have written a book called Moving Beyond Words, Our Shared Journey. And this book is a great companion to any of the work that I'm doing. It really is a strong overview of what I believe in and what different types of information I believe can help you to build this stronger, deeper relationship with your animal companion. I want to thank you so much for being with me today, and I wish you the best with all your relationships, and especially with your animal companion, and say thank you for exploring the depth of the relationship that you have with your animal companion because it's been there all along. You have yet to discover the depth and understanding and love that is waiting there for you.